Campeones! Here we are again with another churros. And this one, I don't know if it's going to be a review, a preview, because Matchday 15 is already upon us tonight. It is a Barça against Atlético de Madrid at the Camp Nou. But in the meantime, I think we have an elephant in the room we need to address as well, because just 4 match days ago, it all looked so promising. I remember players with white jerseys jumping around, hugging, celebrating, laughing because they had beaten the Blaugranas. But now, tables have turned and we have leapfrogged the Whites. Let's get into it. Hey. Match day 14. Write it down. I don't know if this is this the first intro that I'm doing?
Yes, I think it is.
Of the season? It is, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, then. Well, let's see how long we can hold on to the top spot. But here we are. I'm going to take advantage of it, or I think I just did. Hopefully, I did justice to that little intro. And Kian, my man, how are you? It is Tuesday, and like I said, the shit's not stopping. Match day 15 already upon us. You guys play tomorrow, of course. I just heard Xabi Alonso in the press conference. Got a couple of things I want to throw your way, but before we get into it, hope everyone is doing fine. Hope you guys all had a pleasant weekend, as well as you, of course, my friend Kian Sobani.
As always, I'm doing fantastic, irrespective of how my club plays. I had a great morning. I went for a solid 10,000 steps this morning. I'm feeling good.
You stepping?
Stepping, yeah.
You doing the stairs or what?
No, just walking.
Okay.
Walking. I got my daily 10,000 steps in. Had a great morning. Had some good coffee, and now I'm here.
Yeah, you are.
But
I kind of didn't expect. I thought maybe you were going to be like Xabi Alonso's press conference. I can't do it. Kids are at home.
Where can you tell me because I've been out all morning and just doing my own thing. I didn't even know Xabi Alonso when he spoke, and I got to be honest with you. So you're gonna have to drop the Xabi Alonso quotes on me because I haven't even seen them yet.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm happy to do that. Because I have to say, I kind of heard it in passing. I was getting ready, setting up here, and I had it on in the background. But, well, needless to say, it was, of course, quite a dramatic weekend for his side, dropping points at Montilivi against Girona that is fighting for salvation, and letting go of the top spot of La Liga. Of course, Barça winning their game against Deportivo Alavés meant that Barça are now momentarily, at least for the time being, let's enjoy it, on top of La Liga. And one of the questions kind of poked my ears. My radar went, and that was whether or not Xabi Alonso feels he is. I'm trying to translate it as I go along here. Basically, if his job is on the line tomorrow, that was the question.
Mm-hmm.
That one kind of, again, took me by surprise, coming from the Madrid-based press at this stage in the season. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect to hear that already.
You, of all people, didn't expect to hear a question like that from the Spanish media? You're so cultured. You're so close geographically. You're so informed about these things. You didn't expect the Spanish media to ask those questions?
Not the Madrid-based media. Absolutely not. Again,
I sometimes, on one hand, like, you know how the Spanish media operates. On the other hand, I feel like you're also in a bubble. Like, don't.
Okay, so if I know how the Spanish media operates, what you're telling me is that Florentino put in a call and said, "Boys, it's go time. Apply the pressure. Let's cook this motherfucker. Go. It's all good. Anything goes. Click.
Well, whether that's the case or not, I'm certainly not surprised to hear questions like that. I've sat in many press conferences, and some of the questions are even still, I'm not used to it. Like they're just they seem unnecessarily dramatic. But certainly, when you go the last 4 games being this bad,
Hmm.
um, I think like if he drops points tomorrow in San Mames, it's the worst 4-game run since Lopetegui in 2018, which Lopetegui got sacked for. Um,
Of
so
course,
I'm not
it's
surprised,
Samames. Hmm. Hmm.
and it's San
Sorry.
Mames, so it's like it's actually it's realistic, and we can talk about Atletic's form, but we also could have talked about Girona's form, so we know it's going to be a difficult game.
Well, not just
I
that.
can't
Yeah.
honestly, I can't believe we're here. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe we're here. Do
From
you believe it?
the
When we were
happy
sitting
no,
in the
when we
cafe,
were sitting in
I can't
Plaza
believe it.
Olivedo, yeah, it promised to be such a happy time for Madridistas. You had gotten one over us, like I said in the intro, frolicking around, prancing, jubilant, and here we
I
are.
can tell that really hurt you when we pranced around.
No, what was funny was that I couldn't wait to tell you that how much that Clásico meant to Madridistas and the players, but. Um, No, dude, I was far too happy to be in Madrid once again to be
With
upset
me.
about just that, man. With you, of
Yeah.
course. But looking at the schedule, man, Athletic Club away, you're in San Mamés, as you just mentioned. Then it's Celta de Vigo. That is a stern test. Celta that, well, is in sort of the no man's land that they are always in, hovering in a mid-table spots. But they're decent, a well coached team, and they've got some firepower in them. Then it's City, and to finish off the year, you guys are playing. Let me quickly look here. Alavés, the team that we just played. I say to finish off the year. That's not fully correct because you still have Sevilla at home as well on the 20th. But of these next, say, 4 or 5 games, given the current form, I think one yes, I was surprised by the question. However, I think it's a valid one. And I'll tell you why, Kian. Because how many games do you see yourself winning over the course of this next, 3 condensed weeks? And again, I want to specify given the current form.
I think we have to win tomorrow, and I know that's not a that's not an outlandish statement. Like everybody knows we have to win tomorrow, given the fact that we had these really poor 3 games before it, or if you include Liverpool. You technically 5 if you include Olympiacos, because even though we won that game, we were poor.
Mhm.
And it sucks that we're at this stage because San Mames is never an easy place to play, even when we're at our best. But we have to win tomorrow. But will we win? I mean, like, I'm just really glad that the team is going back home soon. Matt, our writer, wrote an interesting article about this on Managing Madrid, that like and you and I never really talked about the NFL thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that was going to be one of my questions because I read an article about that. But let me not cut you off. Go on.
Well, I don't know, the article you read may have been the article that Matt referenced in his article, also like complaining about it, that like
Yeah,
as great of a spectacle as it was,
that's it.
it put us it put the spectacle above the team, in the sense that we had to play like 6 games away from home in a row. Did that derail our momentum? On
Hmm.
the other hand, I look at that as like, as much as like I understand that point, you have to be very self-critical in the football you played and not blame it on that, because like, what are you trying to tell me, that we're only good at home now?
Hmm.
That's what you're trying to tell me? That's not a flex. Like that, I'm excited to be back at home to face Celta and even Manchester City and Sevilla. But that's not a flex to say like we're excited to go back home. Like, you have to get the job done away from home. And that was one of the things that I had told you many times too, like as the season was going on. I trust Xabi Alonso to win the games that he's supposed to win. I trust the team has raised their floor and is now starting to win the games they're supposed to win. That's not happening anymore. That's really concerning to me. And now we have to like get into like what changed? Why did this happen? And that's a whole different discussion. But I I'm pretty concerned. I still believe that the team can turn it around, but I can't say I'm not concerned about the way the team is not only functioning, but also what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
Again, I love the politician in you because you danced around in Muhammad Ali like fashion around the question I asked
I don't
of
remember what your question was. I'm a
of the
very,
next
I go on tangents. Sorry. What was your question?
of the next 4 or 5 games. How many do you see yourself winning? I'm happy to take it in order, starting with tomorrow, then moving on to Celta, City, Alaves, and finishing with Sevilla. And
Uh,
not that we are any barometer in terms of teams that are playing good football, but and I don't know what you saw over the weekend, but Alaves obviously came out and stunned us initially, and we managed to pick up 3 very unconvincing points
yes.
again.
We honestly, we both stink.
Yeah. So and you saw what Sevilla did to us. Now that was at the Sánchez Pizjuán. You're playing in the Bernabeu, and well, anyway, but they are capable of upsetting the bigger sides, let's say. So, yeah, what do you see? What's your prognostico? I guess your prognosis
Prediction?
prediction.
I
That's
have
good.
a hot take.
Okay.
Do you have your seatbelt on?
Flawless victories.
I think we win every single one of our next 6 games. Athletic tomorrow, Celta at home, City at home, Alaves away, Sevilla at home, Real Betis at home, January 4th. I I think because I think we're gonna win the games at home,
Okay.
and I think we win against Athletic tomorrow not because I'm convinced by our play, but because we have no choice but to win that.
Mm.
And I feel like that's gonna be one of those games where it's like, guys, if we don't lose this, if we don't win this, is DEFCON 1, and like
Yeah,
our
but
Shabby's gone. Like let's
again,
let's let's rally for this one.
but you're hitting the nail on the head here, and you just mentioned the turmoil, the much documented and talked about turmoil behind the scenes as being one of the problems. Isn't it in the players' interest to be like, as they say in Spanish, hacer la cama, make the bed for Xavi Alonso? They did it with Lopetegui. They did it with Benitez. They did. I mean, it's and Madrid's not the only club where the players have kind of rebelled and revolted, obviously, against the management. But are we at a point now where it's like we don't want this guy around anymore?
I don't think
Like,
everybody feels that way, but I
mm,
but I also don't think like Lopetegui. I don't think the players intentionally tank that. I don't. I kind of actually don't believe in that aspect. Like I don't believe that the players would intentionally play bad. Like I disagree with like Lucas has this thing that he says on the podcast, and I disagree with him on this. He says that like Vinicius would intentionally like play bad to 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 get Vinicius sacked. I don't think that happens. I don't think that's a thing. I think what happened like in the Lopetegui case, for example, is that's just it was a team with very low morale that just had no solutions to score without Cristiano Ronaldo. And it was very possession based with like a lot of circulation without actually having the final product. And the team just struggled. I don't think it was like an intentionally like we're gonna get this guy sacked thing. Especially when you look at all the starters on the field in the Lopetegui era. All of those guys love Lopetegui. Like it was like based on the Spanish core, right? Isco,
mm,
Asensio, etc. Carvajal. And I think uh so my thing is that oh man, I don't honestly don't know where to start with this. I just there's so much wrong with what has happened in the last 4 games. And I'll go back to it. If you go and look at the pressing numbers, it's a dramatic drop from after Valencia to the rest.
So did you say depressing numbers or the pressing?
Depressing,
Okay.
but also depressing works. And so something shifted, something changed. And the only explanation is that Xabi Alonso has given in.
Hmm.
Jose Luis Sanchez, who is reliable when it comes to Real Madrid stuff, he had reported that the film sessions have basically decreased. The
Yeah.
tactical discussion has decreased
Yeah.
because the players were like, enough.
Mm. Mm.
So what does that mean? It means that Xabi Alonso is losing that battle.
Yeah.
And what happens in that situation is like, I actually do blame Xabi Alonso for losing control, because I think you have to have the balls to die by your ideas. Does that make sense?
Completely.
Yeah,
And
like I think if he's gonna go down, he should at least go down with his ideas and not what the players want. Like if you're gonna go down with the and die on your
staying
own
true
sword,
to your
not the
style.
player's sword.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, so I read that as well, and what stunned me about that is I was just trying to picture American teams. I know they do this in basketball, NFL. Watching tape is part of training, right? It's part of you being a professional, learning from your mistakes, learning the plays, studying the opponent. And I'm like, if that is true, and you'd bring in an American coach or just a professional athlete from the American leagues, and you tell them, "Oh no, we don't. Fuck, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want to watch tape." They'd be like, "What? Like, that's not up for you to decide, first
Well,
of all, and why not?"
but that,
It's
yeah,
I find that
but
bizarre.
correct, but that's the important point here is that this is a team that wasn't used to that for years,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Because of Ancelotti.
Mm.
And I don't want to blame Ancelotti for that either. Like that was Ancelotti's style and it worked. Like it worked. Look at the success that Ancelotti brought the club. It worked. But the players were so used to that it was just hard to get them to start to do it differently, because Xabi is a bit of extreme in that situation. Like Xabi was, and that's why I said the other day that I think if you put Xabi Alonso on almost any other team, he's succeeding. If Xabi Alonso doesn't succeed here, I have no doubt that he's going to have a great coaching career. If it's not here, it's somewhere else. But this is a different beast. And this is why, and so many people have said it, and it's true. It's not really about tactics here. It's not. It's obviously it's an important part, but everything is about getting the players to buy in. And if you can't, then you've pretty much lost the battle unless you start benching people. And if you start benching people, well, you know what's going to happen then.
But then, bouncing off of what you just say, what you're saying now, what you said before, when you said that you don't believe in players making the bed, again, haciendo la cama to a coach. I mean, there's a clash here because it's either a bit of naivety or you're clashing with your own kind of morals and ideas of how the players function. Because I could very much see the players doing something like that, and I for one believe that completely players probably gang up on a coach if they don't like his methods and try to get rid of the coach and bring in the next one. I think it's a sign of a rotten and poisonous dressing room as well, and I don't think that's the right direction. I should stipulate that as well. But that it happens, I have absolutely no doubts. And whether that's happening at Real Madrid, it certainly looks like there's maybe hints of it. I was reading something else that Jude Bellingham has acquired the nickname JB, because of his habits, late night habits, closing down clubs in the late night hours. In fact, they said that he didn't start against Olympiacos because in that week he arrived drunk at the training ground for the training session, and then it was a way where Xabi Alonso said tried to kind of
That's a very
draw the
big
line.
accusation you just made. Like,
That's
where have
it's
you
not
read
me.
that?
I'm reporting this. I'm reporting what I hear from Madrid-based reporters. So it's not me
Who
putting the first
reported
one out
that? Like,
there.
that matters. Like, that's a very big claim to make. I think we have to be more careful with stuff like that.
I mean, I can Google it. This was being
This is the
reported.
first time I've ever heard anything like this.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I'm not fully surprised.
Listen, man, we all know what your algorithm is. Like,
No, and also yours. Can I? I'm just report. I'm not
my
making this up,
algorithm is all
Ian.
basketball, just FYI.
Mine is all porn. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I can verify the source if you want
No,
me
I'm
to.
not
But
saying, but no, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna come and say something like that, you have to like say who was it
okay,
from, like,
okay,
because that's like,
okay. This is the first time on Churros that we are putting some information out there without referring to the source. I am very sorry. I will do my homework better next time. It just the thought came to me that I think when you pick up the breadcrumbs from the floor, that path leads you to a very conclusive attitude where I think the players are just not having it with Alonso anymore.
what you're referring to, which is like intentionally throwing games, is not what would happen in my opinion.
Mm.
If it like looks bad, it's like it's more of just like what has been happening the last year and a half. Happened under Carlo too, which is like the effort level. It's not like, hey, let's lose this game to get Chabi out, which is I think what you're insinuating. I don't think that would happen, but I think if you saw the team lose in the next couple games, it would be like just some of the same problems we had in the games past. Um, but this goes back to like, in the end, no matter how much we want to say it's this player's fault or that player's fault, this goes back to Chabi Alonso. Like, you can really, really only blame yourself if you went away from your own ideas because the players complained about it and you just felt like you didn't have the authority to do it.
Mm.
Does
Mm.
that make sense? Like you have to, if you're going to come in here, you've Xabi Alonso is a player who played at Real Madrid. He knows exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be surprised. Now, I think part of this is that, like, I think he's just a little bit mentally, he's not strong enough to manage this team as of now. I hope to be proven wrong on this. But let you can't just lose control like this, because there will be a point of no return. If the players just keep sensing weaknesses and smelling blood, they're like, okay, so he didn't actually have the balls to implement what he wanted to do, and we're running the show. There, he's going to lose everyone quickly. And that's to me the biggest problem, is that, like, we can talk about, and it's a correct, valid concern to be like, does this piece fit together? Can Jude and Arda coexist? Can Vinny and Mbappe coexist? What happens to Fede Valverde? Where's Gonzalo Garcia? Like, all these are like valid concerns and questions to me. But in the end, if no matter what combination you put, if the players are not buying into what the coach wants, then it's not going to happen. I will add some. This is gonna. It's gonna sound like maybe just overly optimistic what I'm about to say, but it's something that I
I mean,
saw
you
that.
already said you're going to win all 6 games.
Yeah,
So,
well, nothing can top that. But but one thing that I don't think anyone really talked about after the Girona draw was that that game was actually a bit of a freak game that no one really wants to talk about because everyone's angry. That that game, there was some context in there that I think got lost. One is that the press was actually back in that game. They were pressing, and the numbers were actually as aggressive as it was earlier this season. Um, they held a high line. They were kind of going back to some of the fundamentals. Mbappe missed a great chance. Vinny missed a great chance. Uh, Girona probably shouldn't have had their goal counted because Mbappe got fouled before. Maybe the Rodrigo penalty also should have been called. There was some freak occurrences in that game that should have resulted in a W. But I don't want to. I'm not here to say that like I'm not to pat ourselves on the back or anything like that. The point I'm making is that they actually tried to go return to some fundamentals in that game, and I think if they had squeaked out the W, it would have been a different conversation. So I just wonder,
It
like
would have.
when I look at some of the more deeper analytics in that game, and I see that the press was back, I wonder, and I look at all the conversations that the team had against Olympiacos, before the game, that some of the unity is back and everybody's on the same page, and they were like, okay, let's go back to doing what worked. Let's start pressing. And I do wonder like how different the vibes and conversation would have been if like Mbappe just scored that big chance in the 94th minute.
I think it would have been a patch. It would have given a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, that's all it would have
And
been. I'm not saying it would have been the turning point, but it would have been just it would have changed the mood a little bit.
Well, the good thing is, of course, that as you rightly mentioned earlier, for however bad Real Madrid is, Barça are right there with you guys. We
Yeah.
are hand in hand in playing some absolute dirt football. The difference was that ours resulted, obviously, with a win and taking over the top spot. But you were actually, I hadn't seen that image yet until you sent it to me. And the image obviously has made its rounds now through social media and the media. We've heard the official explanation that came after all of us within the media space had our own interpretations. And, you said respect to Rafinha, he's locked in. Well, let me start here. Have you heard the quote unquote official explanation? Obviously, Hansi Flick has come out as well and given his 2 cents of why he was so visibly distraught and lost in the Barca dugout in that moment. Have you heard the explanation that was given?
I think you sent it to me, right? Or you sent me a Fabrizio quote of
I sent you a Fabrizio. Yeah. So, I mean, I can quickly, just for our listeners and viewers here, the official explanation was that Hansi was upset and disappointed with his assistant coaches and didn't want to get into an argument with them for having picked up the red card. He said, Marcus Sorg is a good friend of mine, and I didn't want to escalate the situation after he got a red card, and something I guess that he in the moment tried to prevent, but things got too heated in the exchange. Yeah.
So it wasn't about the performance?
So it wasn't about the performance. Now, I don't know if that's, who am I, obviously, to contradict Hansi? I don't know if he's playing politics here, if it's genuine.
Right. Maybe
what
he
more
decided
logical,
not to throw the players under the bus or something.
Right. What seemed more logical, certainly at the time, and given how the game transpired and the poor, not just performance, but what is the most striking is just the lack of intensity, right? You're coming off of a thumping loss in the Champions League at the Bridge. You're playing in front of your crowd against an Alavés that you should be licking your chops at the chance to demolish them and show just how good you are, how fierce you are, how lethal you are. And it was like after the equalizer, because mind you, Alavés scored within the first minute. And how many times have we seen Barça get scored on within the initial minutes, if not the very first at all? This is not the first time. And it just dissipated, it just went like crumbling away. It was, again, this lackluster performance and attitude where you feel like, guys, what are we doing here? Like, what are we actually playing for here?
Yeah.
Have you guys won multiple leagues? Have you won multiple Champions Leagues? Have you won all the balones de oros that you could possibly. And this is, mind you, not a knock on Lamine, who I think had a more than a decent game. I'm not singling him out here whatsoever. But as a whole, as a collective, it just, again, was missing on all fronts when it comes to being plugged in and all for one, one for all for one type of attitude. The being locked in from start to finish and just being obsessed with recuperating the ball, the high press, and being relentless in terms of creating attack after attack after attack. It just wasn't there. And so it seemed plausible, it seemed logical even for Hansi Flick to be perplexed about that, worried about that, given the stage of the season that we're at, right? That we're in at the moment, given what we have seen so far. The sample size of games so far this season have been subpar. And so it seemed like that was a logical thing. Having said that, and I mentioned that on a YouTube video that, again, fashionably late, I dropped just earlier this morning. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification, because I do put them out there, even if they come a little bit late. But I said, why would Hansi Flick put himself in a position to sit so publicly in the Barça dugout, knowing that all of the cameras are fixed on him, right? He's there for the world to see and to interpret, and we know how creative the media is. Why would you leave this interpretation to the media after such a poor game and a poor performance, if it is not something else, right? I mean, I think Hansi Flick is smarter, but then maybe not.
I don't know, man. Like,
know.
what is he gonna? It was a very human moment. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, there's nothing. Like, he wasn't angry. He was just having a human moment, that just sitting there thinking, reflecting, maybe a little bit sad. I mean, if anything, it was wholesome. And this coming from a Madridista.
Yeah, but you know how lethal, or how ruthless the press is. I just wonder, could you not go sit in a bathroom stall, maybe just ponder about what you just saw?
Come on. This is harsh.
I don't know. I did kind of have to reflect on that and say, maybe what he said is genuinely true. Maybe he was going to get into it with Marcus Sorg and wanted to just things to calm down a little bit. And I'm sure as well, I mean, he couldn't have been happy with the performance. So I'm sure, obviously, that must have been on his mind as well. But yeah, it was, like you said, a very human, a very worrying moment as well, because, like I said, with the press being as creative as they are, it was already like, oh, Hansi Flick is out. This is Hansi Flick's last season. He's burnt. Está quemado. Like, he can't deal. He can't take it anymore. He's lost the dressing room. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, here we go again.
We both have to run in like 5 minutes. I just wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the upcoming game today.
Yeah, of course.
I think Frankie is out, and
Frankie out. I think, look, we failed the Clásico. We failed Sanchez Pizjuán. We failed against QSG and Chelsea. All the big tests so far, the biggest tests, I would say, of the season so far. I don't think that's an understatement. We haven't managed to pass any of them. So this is a must-win as well, I think, for the team. And, oh, man, I missed those two, huh?
I still have this ready to go anytime you guys play Atletico.
I hope so.
That, I don't know if you know, like, if you are aware of, I know you're obviously very attuned to La Liga history. I don't know if you actually know the story about Atletico Madrid and how they were created.
Well, they were the aviators, right?
No.
The aviation, wasn't it? Aviación?
No. If you look deeper into it, it's really interesting. God actually created them to give Barcelona gifts.
Stop.
They're literally created to serve Barca. That's literally the only purpose, is to hate Real Madrid and to.
Well, then tell them.
What would you like today? Would you like Griezmann? Would you like?
Dude, as if we didn't pay top money. I love that you think that is a gift.
Over here, where do you want?
Then tell them they owe us a league as well, a league that they robbed from our own goddamn backyard that we applauded them for. Tell them to give it to us, and tell them to give us a whole bunch of millions back as well that we paid for the Griezmanns, that while we gave the Villas, the Luis Suarez's, the who else? Griezmann. Eventually, we just gave him back for free as well. If anything, it's our purpose to serve them. It's not the other way around, my friend.
And this game is at home.
I'm looking forward to it.
I do. As much as I know Atletico,
and they beat us last year.
Well, I was going to say that. I was like, as much as I know Atletico love bending over for you guys, I am reminded that Sorloth did score that goal at the last second last year at the Montjuic. So there's also that. But
you should be on your knees buddying up with your city buds, your city friends. Because you guys could be back on top tomorrow.
I would, if it was up to me.
Come Churros Thursday, you're back doing the intro, dude.
If it was up to me, somehow both teams would lose tonight, but it's not possible. So, as much as I would hate to say it, I would root for Atletico because I think Barça are probably more real title challengers than Atletico. But there's no scenario where I'm celebrating anything tonight either way. Both these teams can be relegated for all I care. Couple quick super chats. This one actually is coming from D Spot.
Yay!
And it's Pranav. Pranav says prediction: comunicado oficial. Bienvenido Zidane.
I think it's Arbeloa actually should be Pranav, the comunicado oficial. Arbeloa seems to be tipped for the job.
Can we just remember that football changes quickly, and if my prediction comes true, we win the next 6 games, it's going to be a different conversation again. We'll see. But I agree with you. If it does come to that, it's not Zidane. It's Arbeloa probably.
No,
it would make the most sense logically. And one last super chat, then we really got to go. Ischa says, "Who is complaining about watching tapes? Video analysis is key in the French system and many other systems. If any needs to go, and Jude doesn't want to be a midfielder." The last part is definitely an assumption, but I think the whole watching tape thing on some level, I get it, because I think players who are really great, they want some sense of freedom, and they're like, why are you showing us like how Elche press or defend, where I can just barbecue this guy, like I don't need to know this, like. But I also am like, if I always think, as great as you are, what separates the good from the great, Diego, as you know, is that like obsession and the attention to detail.
Yeah.
Like those stories about Kobe on the flight when the whole team is playing cards and he's sitting in the back of the plane by himself watching film. That's what separates. And players are like, yo, why are you doing this? Like, this is crazy. And I always think about stuff like that. Like the ones who are really, really obsessed with becoming the best, not only individually, but collectively, which means you also succeed individually, are these things. So I agree with this super chat.
Like Michael Jordan's words echo through my mind as well, where he said, I never took a night off, never missed a game, always wanted to make sure he played for the crowd, right? He played to the best of his ability to make sure that the people who came out to see him got their money's worth. And that, I think, as well, is kind of like an obsession, a continuous fuel of motivation to keep yourself sharp, on point, and to just strive to give your best every single night. And I talked about that in my last video as well, because Lamine was asked, he did a 60-minute interview. I think that's CBS 60 Minutes. I'm not sure, but he was asked about that as well. And or he said what motivates him, and he said, well, I play to make people entertained, and I play for the crowd. So hopefully he has that in him. But yeah, I think that's certainly something that players need to take into account. You're not just going to be great once and then without putting in the work continue to be great. You have to work at it even harder once you reach the top. And I the tape watching thing, it's just part of the game. And it's not just scouting, Kiyoung, and it's also to see what you did wrong and what you can do better and where you misinterpret perhaps the instruction of the coach and where you need to work on it. That's clearly something that both Barça and Real Madrid need to do at the moment because shit ain't working out.
Yeah, I have to go. Someone is at the door. But I will just say, like, if Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete of all time, hired mentors for
Right.
outside of basketball, you don't think anyone else needs it. But the greatest athlete ever needed it, and you don't. So
Enough said.
that's what it is. Okay, guys, Diego and I every Thursday we record a show for our members, and it's over on patreon.com/churros y tacticas. Every question that gets submitted there, no matter how controversial it is, gets answered. So if you want access to that and also ask your question, go to patreon.com/churros y tacticas. Diego, this was fun. Enjoy the game tonight, but not too much, and we'll see you Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Peace.